Boxing with KSI Preston with Austin Hubbard, who's coming off a unanimous decision win at Cage Aggression. Austin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm very happy to be talking with you. It's been 6 days since your fight. How you feeling?
Good. Uh yeah, I was pretty surprised. I thought my legs and stuff would be a little more sore, but overall I felt pretty good. I came into the fight with some injuries and those are the most sore things. So well, those were pre-existing.
I was going to get to that a little bit later, but since you brought them up, can you share what those injuries were?
So probably about a month and a half out of before the fight, I hurt my elbow and I can hardly straighten it. I can't like bend it all the way. It hurts to throw crosses. And so I was dealing with that and I need to get that looked at. And I was dealing with that all camp. And obviously then the fight didn't do me any favors for the healing. Then the week before the fight, I hurt my heel and I couldn't even put pressure on it. It was all black and blue and I couldn't walk on it. So that was that was wasn't as worrisome as the elbow. Like the elbow definitely had more effect on it, but luckily I was able to still perform and come away with the win. So that was most important.
Was there ever a thought in your mind to pull out of the fight?
No. So this fight, meant a lot to me and I was dealing with a lot and financially, I had to take the fight. That was, I mean, number one reason why I couldn't back out. But it also meant a lot to me that I lost my brother getting ready for this fight, and I really wanted to do this fight for him and honor him and put on a performance, for him. So it was important to me to show up and get this win, and nothing was gonna stop me. So.
I'm very sorry to hear about your brother, man. What were the emotions like after you got this win and knowing that wherever he is, he's watching down on you and just to pull up the win for him.
Yeah, it was it was relieving once it was over, to say the least. You know, I've never had a fight camp that I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like I had no interest in doing the train camp, even in doing the fight, although I knew I would not pull out, but I had the motivation and drive for camp wasn't there necessarily, and but I still made sure I showed up every single day and gave it my all because I knew it was for him. You know what I mean? I wanted to be strong and make that happen and do it right. So that just carried me through, and it wasn't until like a week or two out from the fight actually that I actually got excited for the fight and like motivated for the fight. So once that hit, that made it better. It was still stressful dealing with the injuries and that really hindered the way I could train. I had to be careful of it. I went southpaw a ton in the fight just simply because of the injuries. Um, but yeah, it was once that fight was over, it was relieving. I felt like I couldn't deal with, or I was dealing with a lot of things, but I had to suck it up and just keep going forward. And now that all that the fight's over with, the pressure's gone. I can relax, I can breathe, I can heal. So it's a lot less stressful now than before the fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. How do you what's practice like? Like if you don't want to fight, you're hurt. How do you go through practice? Like, do you just kind of like go through the motions? Do you kind of like hide it? What's practice like?
Um, I've been doing this for a long time now. So with my experience, I know how important it is to be present every day in practice, like mentally and physically, and like the type of fight I wanted to have, I needed to give it my all and show up every day. So like I think with my experience it helped out a ton, in that aspect of dealing with not wanting to do it but doing it, you know what I mean? So um I think that really, and like they said, the thought of my brother, he brought me a lot of pain, but he carried me through a lot of pain, you know what I mean, with that loss. Uh and I don't know, it's just it was a hard, it was really hard to say the least, like all the way around. And I think my experience and the motivation for to do good for my brother was what really carried me through that camp.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I can't fathom what you were going through, man. So with you having a bad elbow and you basically having a bad foot, were you just that confident going into the fight against this guy?
you know, I had a bunch of people trying to tell me to pull out. You don't have to do it like this and that, and pulling out was never once like an option to me. I truly felt that my brother was gonna be in there with me, and that was gonna carry me through the fight, and I wasn't. It was if it was any other circumstances, I think I would have been a lot more worried than I was. But I even told my coach this, like, dealing with these injuries isn't nearly as hard as dealing with the loss of my brother. I think that was like so big that these just seemed little, even though that was like an emotional thing, like, and this was physical, is different, but it still just was like, I didn't think anything of it, and I just kept working through it, and um, yeah. So I think that's the best way to say is like the pain and loss of my brother was just so overshadowed of these pains and injuries that it didn't bother me all that much, luckily.
Mhm. Gotcha, gotcha. Dan, thanks for sharing that. Well, let's talk about the fight a little bit. What was the game plan going in, knowing that you only had one arm basically and a bum foot? And I guess after that, just how do you feel about your performance as a whole?
I really wanted to get a finish. And I thought I was gonna do that a few occasions, to be honest. I dropped him once. I hit him with a lot of hard body shots. I controlled him on the ground, and I was getting really close to locking up some submissions, and he was just a tough dude. I definitely, I knew skill for skill. I wasn't worried at all. Um, and I felt like I dominated him. But I thought I would be able to get that finish. But credit to him, he was a tough little bastard. Like I dropped him with flying knee, like knocked him out straight to the ground. I thought it was over. I hit him with a hard body shot where he like noticeably showed it hurt, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get him here. And he fought through those things, and I landed a ton of kicks, ton of body work, just a ton of everything. And um, he stayed tough, man. And on the ground, like I said, I felt like I was really close to locking up a few darces on different occasions, and he did good fighting just enough to where I couldn't fully lock it in. And he also did really well, when I did have him down. He did really well preventing me to get off, strikes and damage. Um, he was tough. And he came forward and he fought hard, and he has a bright future for sure.
How did it feel to be back at cage aggression?
Oh, it felt really good. Um, yeah, I came up through cage aggression, so like a lot of my, almost entirely my amateur career, a lot of my pro fights have been with Mike Goodwin and cage aggression, and we have always had a great relationship. And the last time I fought for them, I think was 4, maybe 5 years ago, And so I was really looking forward to coming home and having a home crowd. You know, I haven't had a home crowd in a while, you know, fighting in the UFC and all over and whatnot. And so I was excited for, you know, my family, my friends and fans all to be able to come watch me fight live, you know. And my nephew and my daughter were their first fights a lot to watch me fight live. And so it was really cool. And then when I was walking out, like the amount of people that were like supporting me and cheering for me, like I honestly put that walkout and like that whole atmosphere, the energy in the atmosphere and that all that feeling like at the top of my list for like coolest walkout fight experience I've ever had. Like more than any UFC fight or anything. It meant a lot to me and it was really cool.
So not only were you hurt, you were dealing with the loss of your brother, but you're also fighting in front of your nephew, your family, your daughter, all your friends. So just so this there was a lot going on.
There was. And you know the crazy thing about it is like that was one of my easiest fight weeks I've had in a long time. Like especially making weight at 55. Um Fight camp, literally every other week I felt like an injury was popping up. I had an infection on my chin that needed cut open and drained, and then I put on antibiotics and like just small injuries like my knee, my shin, my elbow, my heel, like a lot of things on top of dealing with my brother. And like I said, like that camp was so mentally draining, but fight week was like the absolute opposite. And I felt really good all fight week. The hunger, you know, wasn't bad. The weight cut, I haven't had that easy of a weight cut to 55 in a long time. I was stress free. I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel like nervous at all. It was the most normal I felt like fight week, cutting weight, you know, like pre-fight jitters, walking out, like all that during the fight, like I felt really good and normal. And like I said, it was the easiest fight week, fight, like warm up and all that shit I've had in a long time. And I was joking with my wife and I was like, well, shit, man, it had to be easy. Everything else was so damn hard. Finally, I got a little break. So that was nice. And that I was really happy all that went really smooth. And yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, that's awesome to hear that you at least had
Yeah.
a good one good
Yeah.
portion of
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Before we get to what's next, I haven't talked to you since your win over Julian Lane. And firstly, um, I guess were you surprised at how tough he was that you weren't able to finish him? And then two, did you see all of his trash talk after the fight saying that you just wrestled him?
He's a clown. For one, literally almost the entire fight took place on our feet. And I outstruck him there the whole fight. He did surprise me with those guillotine attempts though. I finished almost every round with a takedown just because why not, you know? Keep him guessing. It's MMA, not uh kickboxing. So and he did do good job locking up. I think it was two, maybe three of those guillotines that they were tight. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm not tapping to this, but I hope he gets tired before I pass out. Like, they were tight. But I managed to get out, got on top. Um, and then the third round, what I did, more majority of that round was on the ground. You know, I took him down with 3 minutes left and or something like that. Most of the third round was on the ground, but like I said, outside of that, the whole damn fight was on our feet pretty much. And um, yeah, I mean he's a talker. That's what he does. So I knew I was expecting that, and I don't pay attention to that. None of that. It don't matter because who got their hand raised. That's what matters. So
Yeah, 1000%. A win's a win,
yeah,
no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah.
Well, what's next, man? You went 2-0 in 2022. Are you looking for one quick turnaround, or are you trying to enjoy the holidays?
Well, I would absolutely be open to a quick turnaround, but the biggest thing is my elbow.
Mm.
I need to get that looked at. I already went through a camp, dealing with it hurt and like barely being able to use it. And like I literally can't throw a hard cross. And so I don't know if it would be smart to deal with that another camp with it like that.
Right.
Um, so I'm gonna get that looked at and then figure out, what's going on with that, and then I can go on from there.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure.
I'm originally like when I found out the UFC wasn't wanting to resign me, my agent did say one or two wins and they said they'll resign you. So that was two, and I'm really hoping either UFC, PFL, or Bellator would I'd love, to get back in a top promotion because I truly believe I belong there. I truly believe I'm one of the best lightweights in the world. I'm 15-6 now. You know, I don't want to keep doing regional fights for, little money. I have a lot, change coming here. I've been living out in Colorado and it's super expensive there. It's been really hard, financially to get by without being, in the UFC, making that UFC money. And, I have a family now I have to take care of. And um, we might more than likely we're moving back to Illinois,
Mm.
and I'm going to work with my father-in-law. Um, Luckily, though, if being he owns the business, he already said, he's going to allow me to go out to Colorado still and do, 6, 8 week training camps. So I still have that, which will be nice to know. Like I can still go out there, do my training, get ready for fights. And then I'll be in Illinois majority of time working and making money, get out of debt. Um, so I'm just dealing with a lot of things right now, and so the turnaround is like, I don't know. There's a lot of factors, a lot of things up in the air, and I know one thing's for sure. I just have to get some wind under my sails again and get back on my feet, and then figure it out from there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you're right. You deserve to be in a big promotion. You were never dominated in any of your losses. So and you went out, you proved yourself, got two dominant wins. Um, if a promotion is looking for one more fight on the regional scene, would you be open to going back to LFA and fighting one more time?
Yeah, I would be, and I've been trying to get fights for LFA. I don't know what the deal is there. Like I don't know why I haven't been able to get a fight with LFA. It's been really hard to get opponents, so like it was hard before the UFC, and it's 10 times harder now after the UFC. I've accepted probably 15 or more fights, and I've only been able to lock in two opponents. So, which are the two fights I did have, and like even different countries, different promotions, different weight classes. It's been hard, man. You know what I mean? Like what I feel like I've done everything I could to, chase this dream and keep fighting, and but at some point I have to put my family first and, and make them the priority and take care of my family. Like I just can't keep, you know, going in debt, can't keep chasing something that's running, you know what I mean? Like so I don't know. I stuck it out as long as I could. I did, what they said, two fights and then resign you. So kind of leaving it up to fate right now. If I have to fight another regional fight and can actually get an opponent for a regional fight, yeah, I'll do it. But I really hope, someone just calls me and uh things could work out for once would be cool too.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know. I feel like I have this good vibe that you're gonna get this call from a show sooner rather than later.
I hope when I say this past year has been hard, like people have no idea how hard it's been. And so I feel like I'm due for some good karma or something. Like, come on, universe, do me a favor just this once. Every time I say it can't get worse, it gets significantly worse. So I learned that lesson. I ain't ever saying it can't get worse because it can always get worse, and it always has been so far. So I don't know. I just hope something positive can come my way
Well,
for even if it's just a day or something. Come on, please.
maybe you need to start saying, "Well, it can only get better," and
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. Maybe that's the way to go. I'll try. I'm gonna start doing that then.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it, and
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all that. If you want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you have, and if you want to thank anybody, the floor is yours.
My social media is Austin Hub at or 155 on Instagram. And then I just like to thank all my sponsors, Supreme Cleaners. Um, there's a whole list of them. You all know who you are. Thank you very much. Thank you to my coaches, teammates that helped me prepare for my fights. And thank you for having me on your show.